Good morning, good evening, everyone. This is Luda Kopikina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News Review, where we rate articles essential, important, and optional to help you navigate the very complex and fast-evolving AI landscape. Today, I have John, Adam, and a wonderful guest, Ashish Bhatia, who is now with AWS. Welcome back, Ashish. And I think Paul is popping up here. Yes, Paul and Paul. So today there are 6 articles we're going to review. They are at gaiinsights.com/articles. And there's a number from OpenAI, Grok, and cool set of announcements today. So the first article is, for some reason, the first article is from OpenAI, and it is about introducing GPT real time and the API to real time to update the production voice agents. What did you think about this, Ashish?
So GPT, OpenAI has already released a voice API in past. It was in preview. Now they're kind of bringing it to kind of general availability, and they've added a bunch of goodies. I was actually listening to the live broadcast that they did yesterday. It's at the bottom of the page if you scroll down. They've added a bunch of new stuff, as I mentioned, right? They've added the capability for the voice API to interact with the MCP servers, all tools, and they have optimized it for SIP as well, which is kind of voice over telephony scenarios. And the demo that they did was with, I think, T-Mobile, where they were showcasing voice call from a customer service standpoint and people asking for kind of phone plan change and things like that. So phenomenal progress on speech to speech, I feel, for anybody who's in the customer service, audio conversation kind of scenarios. This is an important news.
Okay. Important news from Ashish. And Ashish, which graphic did you want me to show? So there's a number of those.
Yeah, this one is good too if you look at it, right? I mean, this was 4.0 real-time preview from past, which is now evolving as GPT real-time API.
Okay, so they're showing quite a bit of uptick in performance on a number of parameters, but mostly accuracy and so.
Yeah, again, just from even my past world, right? Jump between preview to production or general availability is a big jump because now enterprise can build kind of large scale things on top of it. There are SLAs kind of backed behind those APIs. So I'm assuming kind of OpenAI is doing stuff like that as well.
Okay, so important from Ashish. What did you think, Adam?
I was between optional and important. I agree with Ashish in that last comment about the importance of GA for enterprises is not to be undermined. I was actually just dealing with that with a customer today in Azure and some of the new AI features that aren't GA yet, and some of the limitations about guarantees on tenancy and that sort of stuff. So it is significant from that regard. I think probably the people that are actually out there building with this, which is a very small subset of our audience, are probably aware of GPT-4o real-time preview and already using it. And this is incremental for them, but important. There are probably people who've been waiting for this, but who are also going to be aware of it. So for the general audience, I don't know how much of an impact this actually has at this point. Other than the message to be aware that if you didn't think, as John and Paul and the team keep telling you, that voice is coming fast and hard, this is another significant step forward on that path. Okay. So I was between optional and important.
Okay, thank you, Adam. What did you think, John?
Yes, Adam said exactly what I was going to say, but better.
Okay. Now, Paul, you have the final vote. What do you think?
Yeah, I think important. I mean, I think it's a major trend I was optional, and I agree, Adam, your point that is GA is material, and Microsoft got some other announcement today, so important.
Okay, let's put it as important. I actually agree, because it's OpenAI. They're pushing on voice. They're making great progress, so it's worth noting. All right, important it is. Let's proceed. So the next one comes from Cohere, and they're introducing the translate capability. They had this translate capability, but they're pushing it into very secure, very for enterprise type of environments. What did you think about this, John? I think it was John.
I think it was me, Luda.
Oh, Adam.
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 I'm happy to throw a quarter in, get an opinion. Not a problem.
I'm just going to say what John was thinking anyway, apparently. So go ahead.
There we go.
So this is optional news. It's mostly a product announcement. Cohere and their positioning around, because of the fact that they can be run locally on premise, and the security of it is sort of their standard marketing line, and it's how they compete. And this is more of them positioning themselves as a leader in that space. But that's really nothing new. So this is optional news for me.
Okay, Ashish, how did you rate this one?
I rated it kind of optional as well. The article is very small, kind of short and light. And I think between so many models, right, what folks are doing are they need to differentiate on some pivot. And I think Cohere is a very enterprise kind of first company, and that is the niche that they're kind of trying to drive the messaging in as well. That is, you can deploy this model, you can fine tune this model. There is security baked into it and speed baked into it as well.
Yeah, and yeah, you're very much right. They are focusing on that translation, and look, this is quite impressive in terms of the benchmarks that they are showing. Okay, going optional, John, Paul?
Yeah, optional. I think there's an interesting, important trend in here. This isn't a good enough example of it to raise it to important, but this notion of behind the firewall for security and control, that along with economics, is interesting. And the fact that they note that documents that you're translating are often sensitive, and that people are going to want local control, that local in the sense of behind the firewall.
Yeah.
But optional.
I think, and just to highlight that it's optional for this, but I mean, they just raised 500 million. And from a design point, both these guys, and I assume the new stuff coming out of Microsoft is going to be very optimized for behind the firewall, own your own intelligence. And we're going to see the OpenAI and Anthropic continue to be very hosted centric. So I think from a leader standpoint, we're going to start seeing these roadmaps today, but this one's definitely optional.
Okay, optional it is. Let's proceed to the next one. So the next one comes from Microsoft AI. This is apparently a subset or lab within Microsoft that has been pushing on voice. So here's 2 in-house models in support of our mission. So introducing MAI Voice 1 and MAI 1 Preview. John, what did you think about this?
Yeah, this struck me as you may get something out of PR kind of pressure that the lab is feeling. You know what I mean? Like, guys, you do all, we're spending all this money. What do you tell the marketplace? Our share of voice stinks. So I mean, two important models that are coming out. There's not a lot about application. I just thought this is totally optional.
Okay, Ashish, what did you think about this?
Similar sentiments as John. Like, I would have loved a model card in the article, more information how they built the model. Just like very early product announcement at this point. Interesting trend for folks who are on the Microsoft stack, right? That there are in-house models coming from Microsoft. But again, not much information. I know this have been in making for a while.
Yeah, so I actually asked the bots to put it from the competitive lens, and they said the main differentiation is they trained it to be really fast, so optimize it for speed, and so against 11 Labs and the other big players in that space. So we'll see, but it is a product announcement. Okay, John or Paul agree?
But yeah, I think it probably not. But this is material in the sense of where this is going. I mean, this is all led by, one of the co-founders of
DeepMind.
DeepMind. Thank you. I don't want to find too many deeps. I'm not going through my mind. It's DeepSeek.
Not DeepSeek, not deep research.
Not deep research. So DeepMind. So absolutely the top of the tier. And the second is this is continuing the divorce of OpenAI and Microsoft. So I think we're going to see a lot more coming on this, and that trend needs to be on the AI leaders thing.
But this article is optional, though, or would you?
Yes, I think this article is optional. I mean, I may be important, but I definitely agree with Ashish's vote here.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll mark it optional with a note that this is. Go ahead, Ashish.
Just if you haven't, in the article, there's actually a place where it says in Copilot Labs you can try out that MAI Voice 1. I'd encourage you to check it out. It is quite expressive. I think the thing worth noting, though, is that they've also released this My One preview, which is an LLM model, and it's significant to note, as Paul was saying, that they're continuing to separate themselves, and this is being led by the guy from DeepMind. So those are probably the most significant things from it. But you talk about it being fast, Luda, but you compare it to real-time, which is what was announced by GPT today. And if you listen to the real-time GPT and compare it to this, there's no competition. Like OpenAI is still way out.
Yeah. No, I think the bots didn't put that one in. It was just sort of in the past, right? I agree with you.
Yeah.
I guarantee they're having a review of Microsoft research. And the management came in and said, we bought you guys 15,000 NVIDIA H100s. We're spending billions of dollars. Your share of voice is like zero. Huh?
What have you done for this, right? Yeah.
Well, you're not telling the world anything. It's like, your multi-billion-dollar research effort and no voice. No marketing at all. That's what happened, I think.
I think John's reading is absolutely right. I mean, even if you look at the article, right, if you substantiate it with benchmarks, with comparisons with other models, then that shows that there is enough in it. And if you try to go to the link, it is a sign up link, so you don't even have access.
Only sign up, right?
Well, I'm just curious what we've got. Ashish and Adam, you guys are both deep and familiar with the Microsoft ecosystem. I mean, 3 years from now, is OpenAI still going to be the model that's being used over at Microsoft, or what do you guys see the trend line of the divorce?
Well, I mean, I just say it's not the model being used right now. Even, I mean, you look at the model catalog in Azure, right? I'm looking at how I can run Mistral OCR, in someone's tenant because for the price and performance.
But that's stuff
so it's not like Microsoft's only OpenAI, and Copilot was the code under Copilot was divorced from the GPT-4 stack quite a long time ago. So they've been developing independently in parallel anyway. And then accessing the OpenAI models through the API, but that's just like they access DeepSeek and everything else as well. So
Adam, help me understand. So we just did Copilot training for a company yesterday, and Copilot still has GPT-5. I assume that's a variant of the OpenAI GPT-5.
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah, I think that's them licensing it from OpenAI, right? For access.
I suspect a year from now that might go away. It might just be Copilot. Yeah.
Right. It's actually seeming to be. We talked about commoditization, and that's what's happening. It's like will be a mixture for every particular application. You will be picking the model on the parameters that are very specific to that application.
No, but the reason I bring it up is that the company we had yesterday is like many companies. They're training both on ChatGPT and Copilot. And their CIO and everyone else is saying, guys, you can use Microsoft Copilot, and that uses OpenAI. So we don't need to spend this extra stuff. We can do that. And I think that's long-term incorrect. And even the default when you open a Copilot, it says try up here. It doesn't like go there right away. So you really don't even know the model here. So
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Well, that is true. If you look at GitHub Copilot, right, you can choose your model, and the persona for that tool or that product is very kind of dev first, tech first, right? So they can choose whatever model. Copilot is not that persona, or the persona users for Copilot is not that. So they're pre-picking the model, which is GPT-5 at some point of time. It could be MAI.
Yeah, I think my guess is that there's going to be the dominant, back to your question, Paul, my prediction would be the dominant environment or meta context, if you will, of these things. It'll be like what Charles Schwab and Fidelity did in mutual funds, which is they became the supermarket and they had their own products that they sold through it, but they also hosted other people's products. And my guess is that AWS and Microsoft are going to be the leaders in the West that will do those, that will host those environments.
But
Yeah, but I think people like Hugging Face and GitHub will actually be playing independence. Essentially, would also have a say here.
I don't know. You're saying they're going to be like a T. Rowe Price in financial services. You know, I'm not so sure. I think that they'll be a component part, but I still think that AWS and Microsoft will open their environments to include whatever is necessary from those. They want to be the context. They want to be the meta environment for those.
And especially AWS has been setting up for that from the very beginning.
But Microsoft too, I think.
Microsoft too, but I think AWS led the
thing is, I don't know where Google is on this. I don't think they're as strong as AWS and Microsoft in terms of hosting that environment. And they're the only other company that has the direct commercial relationships to pull it off. Yeah. So if I'm a CIO, I think I'm trying to play off AWS and Microsoft in my environments, and I'm focusing on the meta environment so that I'm not locked in on a model or whatever, I would think.
But John, I think that's great for the GenAI business applications. The secure employee chatbot, though, I think is very different. I mean, I think, you know, we get a company that's educating having us train 1,000 employees in 4 weeks or seven weeks or something, and they are saying this company is going to go with ChatGPT. We have another company that dropped ChatGPT, went to Copilot. Yep. But the reality is that another one that dropped Copilot went to ChatGPT because all the users like ChatGPT better. So the functionality on secure employee chatbot is still so much better on Copilot. So much better on ChatGPT that I think for CIOs to say, hey, no, you can use Microsoft Copilot and you'll get the same functionality. Executives, stop giving me crap.
Yeah,
incorrect statement.
That's not true, right, Paul? I mean, even though the model behind both tools are exactly the same, it's the treatment, the layers on top of it, the meta prompts, all of that matters, and that shapes the outcome, that shapes the behavior of the product, and that's an important distinction.
Yeah, that's totally true. Okay, we are marking this particular article optional. Great discussion, and let's
beat this horse to death.
Well, let's proceed. And the next one is from Google, and it introduces the term vibe testing. And the name of the article is Stop Vibe Testing Your LLMs. It's time for real evals. Actually, evals are getting more and more attention. What did you think about this, Ashish?
That's super important. I mean, they try to coin a new term, vibe testing. We used to call it in Microsoft vibe check. It was the term, which is same exact as vibe testing, LLM-based product. For me, super important announcement, and I would highly encourage people to kind of take a look at the video also embedded in the article. I mean, this was kind of my work at Microsoft before the exit, and again, the idea has been always to. Can we give folks simplified, easy to use tooling where they can bring their own data, golden data sets or whatnot, create evals, and then create pipelines of evaluation, whatever they're building based on an LLM. And this is a step in this direction. The UX looks super simple, very similar to what we're doing. And I would highly encourage people to take a look at this.
So they talk about why evals, they talk about the libraries, how do you easy to build, they put in the data of your cases and ground truth answers. Then you could do your own, or you could use out of the box autorators. So they're not only putting this infrastructure in place, but they are putting bootstrapping a lot of things. So this is
and you can do your own stuff as well.
Yeah, Adam, what did you think?
I was between optional and important, and listening to Ashish, I'm convinced for important for sure, and even necessarily this product. But this is a great introduction conceptually to the importance of a product like this. So it's probably worth flagging. I was thinking of a great example, Luda, is after this, where we take the robot to do a first pass of the transcript to summarize what the analyst had to say about the news, right? And to create a custom evaluator that can make sure that's using certain phrasing or style, or that we're conveying things a certain number of words even. Or a certain number of sentences, to be able to quickly customize with natural language to create these. What was the term they used? These auto raters.
Right? I was actually super essential on this one. I'm with Ashish. I've been harping about, look, the LLMs are will give you hallucinations and the like. The testing is critical, and this is the maturation of that. So I think it's very important, not necessarily from Google, but as a trend and as a product. What did you think, John?
Yeah, I originally had it as optional, but I've been talked up to important.
Okay. Paul?
Important.
All right.
Well, important with the caveat that this obsession with coming up with new names, forward deploy engineering, pre-sales engineering. So vibe testing is,
All right. So can you make them important, or should we try to twist their arms into essential?
I was going to say that, right? So think about it this way, right? And I always say this when I'm kind of talking to folks who are building using AI, is before you own your intelligence, own your evals. And this is a step in that direction. Evals, if you look around, right, evals is one of the places where things break the most, right? Where people don't have a clue of how to kind of set up an eval pipeline, how to orchestrate all of that and have a consistent outcome. Both offline evals and then runtime observations as well. This doesn't ties into runtime observation, which is another beast, right? But this solves for offline evals before you're releasing something. You're building that pipeline to consistently kind of measure and then mitigate things if things fall apart.
This is super essential for applications where LLMs are in the core. You have to have something like that. And I think people, the applications that are out there, they figured it out by themselves and built it from scratch. This is now tooling happening for the developers at large. And I think super important, guys. Since I have the chalk, you've given me the chalk. I'm going to.
For what it's worth, Luda,
essential it is. I feel very strongly about this.
Feel the power.
Feel the power. All right. Essential it is. Let's proceed to the next one. All right. So the next one comes from OpenAI and Anthropic. It's a VentureBeat article that talks about how they cooperated on exposing jailbreaks and misuse risks. What did you think about this? Who did we have on?
John, me.
John, go ahead.
Yeah. Optional doesn't pass the. Should have given it to a robot bar. I think the general idea of OpenAI and Anthropic working together to cross-test their products is wonderful. Insufficient. I think there should be. I happen to think these things should have some kind of hurdle, at least from a regulatory or independent third party, underwriters, laboratory, somebody, right, who actually cross tests these things. But we don't. So this is I think this is optional. The misuse risks are real. This article doesn't really lay out much in the way of what was discovered, what you can do about it, and so forth. So optional.
Okay. Before we go next, we have Brenda voting on the last article as evals are being overlooked, essential. Lucinda will be doing a facilitating breakfast table at the Women in AI breakfast at the conference, and it will be on evals. So she's saying, I'm living evals, and she's talking about them, and they're not easy, guys. So this is an important topic. So I got quite a bit of support here. So essential it is. All right, so let's proceed on this one. Okay, what did you think about this, Adam, about the OpenAI?
Yeah, I'm with John on this one. I think he characterized it well. It's great that they're working together. I mean, we've always talked about the way that Anthropic has been leading sort of the alignment conversation, the transparency, and all the lessons they learned, and even their own failures with Opus 4.1 along the way. And this is another example of their leadership, but also really, building a bridge to the other important leaders in the space. The overall concept is important. This article is probably optional.
Okay. Optional from two folks here. Paul, agree?
Yes.
Okay. Optional is this.
Luda, I did like your Mussolini move. The Catholic Church supported, Pius XI supported Mussolini after he took power.
Okay, well, I don't know whether it's a compliment or not. All right. The last article is Grok Code Fast 1. And Ashish, Adam, what did you think about it?
I was on the fence on this one. It brings up, I mean, not even necessarily. So this is an announcement from XAI about a new Grok model that they've released. That's a very fast coding model, also very cost efficient. And they're two of the parts of the equation, I guess, when it comes to coding models that aren't always considered. And for that reason, I thought it might be important, worth flagging as important. But so what they look at here is really about the price per million tokens, and where this is absolutely smashing things like Gemini, GPT-5, Claude, Grok 4, and really competitive with something like Qwen 3 Coder. And then on the other side of it is to compare the speed in terms of the tokens per second, where Grok Code Fast is just the quickest thing out there. And when you think about developers and the time it takes for them to wait for this output from this coding model, I mean, I've certainly had the experience of sitting there watching the code right on the screen, and I'm sitting there waiting. Time is money. So when you start factoring in those two against things like standard benchmarks, I think they're important considerations. And the fact of the matter is, Code Fast 1, if you look at this chart, what's not shown here is the performance on the benchmark tests. And it turns out that Grok Code, their internal, they say it got about a 70%, but that's right up there almost with Grok 4, and it's competitive with Sonnet 4 and GPT-5. So the fact that it can be this cost performant, this speed performant, and almost as well in terms of the overall capabilities as a software engineer is pretty significant, and potentially worth flagging as an important development, in spite of it being a product announcement that's in some ways incremental development.
Yeah, it's a product announcement. They, though, lined up with all the people delivering it with the delivery platforms, and it's out there, available right now. And there are a number of customers in beta that they tried, so it's out there. Ashish, what did you think?
I was on the fence like Adam, maybe trending important. The two dimensions that I've not grokked or thought about in details for coding models is speed, which Adam was highlighting, and sometimes size comes up. Small model for coding, like who cares, right? I want the best coding model, right? Because I want quality of code. And kind of my peeve with this article was, while cost dimension is super important, I'm going to talk about that, is quality, and they didn't give enough about what's the quality.
I had to go do that. I had to
Yeah.
go do that research, Ashish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like, I mean, if you're talking about code, better talk about quality of the code, because that's what is the most important metric in my mind. And obviously cost is, and I feel the cost is important. And if they have cracked the code of good quality at a cheaper price, then it is very important, because we'll be writing as humanity a lot more code with coding models as we kind of make this transition. So cost is going to be an important factor, and code is going to be almost fungible, right? You write a spec, you generate code, and whatever is the outcome, you go change your spec, you write that code again. It's like generating the binary over and over again as you modify your code.
Yeah. So important from you.
But to make sure I'm listening. So you see a world where people will become price sensitive on coding, AI coding tools.
Yeah, because you'll generate so much of code. Right?
Yeah.
Totally.
So I think a lot of companies won't be, though. If I'm running a software company's venture back, I'm indifferent. I want the best regardless.
But if it's ruining your bank, if it's draining you would become sensitive.
No. That's
what you're. Paul, when you're talking about 70 versus 72% on a software engineering benchmark, it comes down to how the person uses the tool.
Fair enough.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
But I'm assuming that in general, the AI editing tools are giving me 30 to 400% productivity on at least my junior and beginner coders.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Okay,
I
let's
think
take
we're
this
going- I think we're going into such a massive amount of code generation, technical debt to come, that price is going to matter a lot, because this is going to be, we're going to have so much inference consumption to deal with all the kudzu crap that we're going to generate on the back of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to.
That's a whole nother. I want to have that discussion next time, because I want to, just as we have digital twins and the marketing things here, I know why we can't have digital twins and debt. So I actually start to understand the cost, the technical debt cost of making on decisions here.
The problem with digital twins is people won't agree on what is, and the famous words of Bill Clinton.
Is. That's cool. All right, guys, we are running out of time. We need to go.
Thank you,
So we'll rate this important because it's the speed and cost are two important parameters. We don't know much about performance yet, quality rather. So let's rate it important. And summary. Adam, so we have 1 essential, 2 important, and 3 optionals.
I shared my screen, Luda. You have to bring it up.
It says there's other media. That's weird.
Okay,
Here we go.
Remove something. Hold on.
There we go.
Here we go. All right. Yeah. So we have 1 essential, 2 importance, and 3 optionals. With that, happy Friday, everyone. Ashish, thanks for joining. Lucinda, Brenda, thanks for commenting. We really appreciate your
On Tuesday, remember?
I'm sorry, what? Yeah.
Makes
What?
sense.
Okay. Do you want to?
No, we're not going to have a show on Monday because of the American holiday for Labor Day.
That's true. We're not showing up on Monday. We'll see you on Tuesday. Thank you.
Have a great weekend for those in the U.S. Bye-bye.
Yes. Have fun. Bye.